Hello everyone, welcome. And my name is Aysun, and today I will be talking about how the consent notices and privacy policies are implemented for external and internal users in different countries. So, consent notices are everywhere, in every web page and in different forms. Formally, cookies are said to be collected for the functionality and session continuity, but there is actually more than that, and it's a huge source of data for third parties and advertising purposes. And while the personal data production becomes more complex and important day by day, governments have enacted some regulations regarding cookie collection. And there are different regulations for different countries, such as GDPR, LGPD, CPDP, etc. So it actually raises the question of, are we really safe and everyone treated the same? And with our study, we wanted to make it more clear and visual for you. To do that, we have a set of countries: Brazil, Bulgaria, Germany, Italy, Japan, Russia, Turkey, United Kingdom, and United States. Of course, they have different legislations, as you may see here. They are actually quite long, but the common point is consent must be obtained from users in a clear way. So our goal is to understand whether countries have the same or different privacy practices for external and internal users. First, we want to compare the consent differentiations between our list of countries. And then we want to observe if there are certain patterns in countries in the same geography. And lastly, are there more similarities or differences in the practices of countries adhering to the same regulations? So we started with establishing connections and collecting the data. First, we behave as an internal and domestic user, means, for example, for the German websites, we act as a user from Germany. And we did this for 500 most visited websites for each country, and we omitted the .com and .net to be sure that the website is actually belong to that country. Subsequently, we behaved as an external user, simulated access from outside the country, and gathered further data. In this case, one of our remote connections location is Turkey, and we again scanned 500 websites from now outside the origin country. We established another remote connection from a country which is not investigated to ensure the accuracy of the remote connections. And for the data collection, we first tried to establish a connection to the website, and we used Python for Selenium for the automating crawling process. And if we have a successful establishment, we get the cookie banner from the website. So how do we do that? Very shortly, we first fetch the cookie banner from the website with the possible HTML element names. And after catching the banner, we executed a second level control, taking the text of the banner and searching for the privacy related words. And just to make sure that the selected element is just not just a banner of another topic, like for example, it could be a subscription pop-up or something. And we also calculate the text complexity in this case. And then we did the same for the buttons, and we take their clickable text and store them for the further process. Then we let website to collect cookies, and we calculate the text complexity. We measure the size of the banner. We get the consent buttons, and then we click the reject button if there is, and then collect the cookies again to see if there are differences before and after clicking the reject button. And then we also get the cookie informative footer if there is a privacy policy located there. We do have some metrics, and the first one is the banner text complexity. We use the Gun and Fog index here to calculate how complex the texts are in the cookie banners and if they are easily understandable by users. In the previous stages, we already fetched the text and calculated the complexity accordingly. Another metric is the depth of rejection. By depth, we mean in how many clicks does the user can reach the reject option. And we classify it in the tree. No depth means no reject button. User cannot reject to give consent. And we have one, which is actually the reject button directly on the cookie banner. And lastly, we have 2+ for the further options. And here we assume if there is a setting links or like preferences edit, it directly users to the reject button inside. Or most of the case, there are opt-outs for each third party, which means more than 100 clicks maybe. Another metric is the banner layout. So we have a classification here based on the ratio of the banner to the browser window. So if the cookie banner is smaller than the quarter of the view, we classify it as small. If it's between quarter and a half of the view, we classify it as medium. And if it's larger than the half of the view, we classify it as large. As a result, we have 10,000 automated crawling processes. And we found that 37 of the websites have cookie consent banners here. And while doing the automating process, we have 95.5 success rate. Every time we encounter a false or no detection, we automatically take a screenshot of the website and manually inspect them to reach the full accuracy. And here you can see our map for the results of cookie banner existence. So you can see here that Japan has the lowest rate for the cookie banner existence, and then it's followed by Russia. And while the UK has the highest rates for the cookie banner existence. And you can actually see the differences between local and remote connections for the internal and external users. So it actually differs for the users who are connecting from outside the country and also the inside of the country. And this is our graph for the depth. So if you can, for example, focus on the third column, we can see the Germany with the highest reject button on the cookie banner, the yellow one. And other than that, most of the countries actually prefer not to put a reject button. And then with the, it followed by the reject button in the preferences and the further options. And another result is the banner size classification. So we can see here the most commonly used banner size is small. And then here, just the difference is the Germany, which actually prefers to use medium most of the time. But you can also see the difference for the left graph is for the local connections and the right graph for the remote connections. So you can see that they actually differ. So the banner size also changes for the internal and external users. And for the third metric, text complexity, our findings are the Japan cookie banners are more homogeneous than other countries. And the Italy cookie banners has the most complex sentences inside it. And the content in the Turkish website differs most in terms of local connection and the remote connections. For the geographical impact, the Asian countries that we looked, Japan and Russia, provide less information about the cookie countries, while in the European side there is an increase in the cookie banners. But we don't have a certain correlation between the continent and the cookie consent notices. Lastly, when we look at the countries from Europe, they actually all adopt GDPR. But we can see the differences in their button selections. For example, in Bulgaria, there are 60%, while in Germany it's almost all of them for the accept option. So we can see that even though the countries are using mainly the same regulations, but they can differ in the application. So if we adapt everything, many countries are sufficient to display cookie banners. And we found that only 37% of the websites have cookie banners, and only 21.9% have a one-click reject option. And mostly the small size banner are preferred by the websites. And we also was looking for the privacy policies in the footer. In average, we found 60% presence of the privacy policies in the footer. And lastly, this is the joint work of me and Berke, Turanlioglu, Doruk, Metiner, Albert, Levi, Cemal, Yilmaz, Orcun, Cetin, and Selcuk. Thank you so much.